Hello, my darling. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, good evening.
Well, good afternoon from Hamburg today.
Yeah, look at
12 hours
you,
in Hamburg.
you little jet setter. Well, this is, I know it's going to be a short call, but it's going to be a biggie because with the coaches in the Catalyst business program, we talk a lot about being authentic and sharing your story. And something that comes up again and again is that people don't feel comfortable sharing their story because it might upset their mum, or it might upset their ex, or it might upset their children, or it might upset their current partner. And they don't feel that they can be authentic. So, in doing the doing, what we will be sharing today is your story and how my parenting really affected you.
Yeah, so, oh my gosh, it's been an ongoing conversation for a lot of my life anyway. I think the way this really got triggered is in a spur of, I think, well-directed mania. I have started writing an ebook. It's something that I ask my clients to do all the time. It's something that I've made you do. I'm currently editing another one of yours. And I was like, fuck it. Like, what? How can I ask people to do something that I'm not doing? So I'm in the process of writing Take Up Space, Own Your Shit, and Stop Apologizing for Being You. Now, the first chapter of that, I think, sets up why the title of that book is so important to me. But also, I was scared shitless to send it to you. Petrified, because I'm not saying anything mean, I'm not saying anything untrue, but what I'm doing is I'm telling my truth, and it doesn't paint you as the person you are now, because you
No, but
you
it
weren't.
is a reflection of the
Mm,
person I was then.
yeah. So what I might do, I mean, look, it's not long. So what I might do is read this first chapter. Now, please, this has not been edited. This has not been, so I've probably never even read it out loud before, so I might stumble over a few bits, but bear with me. And yeah, I guess maybe we can talk about it.
Yeah, right?
Okay, so chapter 1, The Confidence Act. I've always been told that I come across as confident. People have always said that I'm outgoing and funny and charming. In my head, though, it was always followed by, for a fat girl. The confidence was falsified, the jokes were armour, and the charm was rehearsed. My entire life, I have been crippled by imposter syndrome, terrible body image, and abso-fucking-lutely no self-worth. On paper, my childhood was bloody idyllic. I swear a lot. Um, I had never questioned if I was safe or loved. I had everything I needed and more than I could ever want for. Growing up as the oldest of 4 kids, I was the good girl, making sure we played quietly, didn't do anything naughty when we were in public. I'd much rather my siblings think I was a drag than have my parents, or heaven forbid, a stranger, do something, I don't know, embarrass me by pointing out that I had done something tut-worthy. This is where it starts getting a little uncomfortable. I grew up in an environment where being thin was valued above all else. My siblings were sporting gods, and chasing balls has never been my thing. My parents, thinking they were saving me from a life of embarrassment, had me on diets from before I was allowed to get my ears pierced. My mum, thinking it would be a fun mother-daughter activity, would sign us up for Weight Watchers or Light and Easy, not to lose weight, just to be healthy, all the while constantly critiquing her tiny frame every time she put food in it. Even though I was told that I was beautiful and smart and funny, we all know that actions speak louder than words. And what was being screamed at my preteen face was, "You are not worthy." When I was a teenager, my parents treated me to not one but 2 weight loss surgeries. They thought they were helping me, but all they were doing was adding to my trauma. I became even more self-conscious and insecure. I was a failure, and it was no longer about being fat. It encompassed every aspect of my life. So I put on the confidence act. I joked around, I made people laugh, and pretended that I at least had this part of my life together. But deep down, I was drowning in self-doubt and anxiety. Felt like a fraud, and honestly, I thought I would die if someone found out about the surgeries. There are people in my life who will just be finding out about these now. This lack of confidence carried over into my professional life. I could never ask for a raise. I was honestly just lucky my bosses had not found out I was a fraud and fired me. But didn't you work in PR, Jess? Oh, yes, I did. And networking and pitching and meeting clients sent me into full vomit on my sweater already panic attacks. I'm sure the self-medicating with booze and pills helped, though. Now, basically, it just goes on to, we don't really need to finish out the chapter, do we? Do you want to just
I don't know, do we?
Okay, may as well.
You might as well rip this Band-Aid off, baby.
Talking about not being comfortable. Pretending to be someone else all the time is fucking exhausting. I was tired of feeling like a fraud, tired of feeling like I wasn't good enough. Honestly, I was just tired. I had nothing left to lose, so I started to do the work. I started to challenge those negative thoughts, question my imposter syndrome, and work on my self-worth. It wasn't until my second attempt at my own business, after copious amounts of therapy, inner work, hypnotherapy, medication, transformation, coaching training, and a good hard look in the mirror, and if I'm going to be honest, TikTok, I started to realize I needed to stop pretending and start owning my shit. Anyone who tells you that putting yourself first, setting boundaries, and doing the work is easy is lying. Telling my besties I had lipo at 15 and gastric band at 18, and that I'd been keeping a secret from them for over 15 years? Not easy. Telling my mum that for 30 years I've been feeling like a piece of shit because of the abuse she inflicted on me as a kid? Not fucking easy. Realizing as you type this, also realizing as you say this in public and you haven't got your sister to proof it yet, realizing as you type that you need to have a conversation with your sister before you ask her to proofread this, not going to be as hard as the other two. I kept pushing, and slowly but surely, I started to feel more confident. As a fat person, I was already taking up space, but I made a promise to myself to never try and be small and be unapologetic about who I was. Take up space became a mantra. It's not easy. There are days when I will still feel like giving up, when I crawl back into my shell and hide. When I look in the mirror and don't like what I see. When I look at my inbox and feel like an imposter. When the worthlessness takes over. There always will be. I'm human, but I have the tools to help it pass now. Looking back, I can see my upbringing had a huge impact on my confidence levels, but I also know that I'm not defined by it. I have the power to rewrite my story and create a narrative for myself, and that's the beauty of it. We all have the power to change our story, to stop pretending and start owning our shit. It's not always easy and it's not always pretty, but it's fucking worth it. Because when you start to take up space and be unapologetic about who you are, that is when the magic happens. Oh, and so she does not change the passwords on our joint accounts. I should make a point of saying that Mum and I have done a lot of healing. We are business partners and best friends. The relationship was forged in the fire, so it's got to be strong now. Anyway, that is still a bit rough, but not an easy thing to send through for you.
I am so proud of you, Jess.
Well,
seriously, hearing that, and when you sent it through and I read it, there is, for me, there is so much shame, even though I know at the time that my intention was never to hurt you. Right?
100%.
Like, you don't have to, like, I don't want to justify this. What I really want for people to understand is that people doing things for the best of intentions create the most traumatic circumstances for people when they are not healed. Right? Now, when you talk about being the good girl and the oldest and not having anyone tut at you, okay, that was me.
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Correct, right? Correct. Where did my eating disorder come from? Right? I did the
Not
Israeli diet with my mum. I did the Scarsdale diet with my mum, right? It's this generational trauma. And why I am so proud of you is because you've gone
Mm.
enough, right? And yes, we have both healed. And like it's a thing sharing your story. All right, because
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
not
easy
easy.
to share your story without telling someone else's, and you can only tell someone else's from your perspective.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right,
definitely.
and like, yeah, did I have a lot of feelings knowing I was gonna say to you if you hadn't already suggested it that you were going to read this chapter? Yeah, because there are a lot of people out there who don't know this, who know me as who I am now.
Mm.
Do I want to shine the light on that damaged person? Not really.
Mm.
And I have to because you have to.
Yeah, it's the strangest, and obviously this is not something that could be done if the wound was still open.
Correct.
Like, this baby is here. I mean, she's scar, but like, let's tattoo over it. Let's make her pretty.
Correct.
But it's this weird sense of freedom, especially when you're asking other people to share their stories, to be able to do it yourself and not. When I was writing that, at no point did I think I need to. I mean, God, I probably could have gone harder, but at no point was I like, I need to soften the blow of this.
Mm,
It was only when I was like, oh, hey, mum, I did a thing, that I went, oh, fuck, you're gonna have to read that. And reading something, the first time you sent me one of your stories, remember, God, this would have been like 10 years ago.
mhm.
When we first started doing stories, we started putting together something for, I don't know whether it was a book or an ebook or something of yours, and it was your parts of your story that involved, and me looking at it as helping you edit. It involved your relationship with my dad, stuff about my siblings, how things made you felt, like, uh, seeing the divorce from your side, and I was like, "Oh, fuck," because everyone had been looking this way, trying to stop a big trauma
Mm,
from happening that way, and no one was looking
mm,
this way, and
mm,
yeah.
mm. I know,
Yeah, and
and
reading it was
yeah, and I feel that for me, what I have learnt in the healing that we have done, because let's face it, that God, in our family, there were periods when that is that thing where you say anything that is not nurturing is
mm,
abuse, and all abuse creates trauma. All
mhm,
right. So that means that with the best of intentions, everybody at some point is going to be abusive.
yeah,
And when you're not feeling resourceful and when you're running worthlessness and unlovable and powerlessness stories the whole time, then the lens that you view the world through is really distorted and you make decisions. Like I made decisions that were bad decisions,
yeah.
right? Like
Oh,
there's no two ways.
mate,
Thinking I was
I
making
get
them for the right reasons.
I get legiteral trauma fever dreams of, I must have been 19, we're in the kitchen in Turak, and I mean, look, it's your fault for giving birth to a mini me, because it's like my brain just went into this red zone and was like, what are, in the next 3 to 4 minutes, what are the most traumatic things you could yell at your mother to absolutely just make her go off? Apologies for the noise. There's like sirens and vacuums, but I
Oh,
remember just
mm,
literally looking inside myself and going, what will make this bitch crack?
right?
Finding it,
Finding it.
screaming it at you, and Finbar had to literally hold us apart, we would have torn the skin off each other's faces. Like, it was, and there are times when, when you wake up in the middle of the night with those like anxiety sweats of like, did I bully her? Did she bully me? What did I say to that person 7 years ago? That's the big one, that it's like, oh, because knowing you're capable of doing that it's fucked up. Knowing
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's terrifying wanting to hurt someone that much. But also as well,
it was because I was hurting. I wanted you to hurt as much as I was hurting.
Correct. And I was in enormous pain because I knew that I didn't have any of the answers for you.
No. But you were going through your own, like, I was getting diagnosed with bipolar. They were,
I had the PMDD or whatever it's called diagnosis. I mean, women have got off murder because they've got, like, it's like premenstrual syndrome on steroids. Like, it is terrifying.
To the point now where a specialist that I'm seeing thinks that I may not have bipolar. I might have PMDD.
Oh, you are your mother's daughter, right?
I laughed hysterically. They were very confused. But if you have something that is messing with your hormones so much that it masquerades as a serious clinical diagnosis, far out, like,
right?
Yeah. No one was happy at that point.
No, there was a lot of red hot mess happening. And I think the thing here, like, if we try and take it back to sharing your story, as you say, it has to come from a place of having been healed. And it's not easy when the other people in your life haven't.
Yeah.
Like, we couldn't do this if you and I haven't spent a lot of time wanting to get to the other side.
We couldn't have had this conversation. Like, yeah, even I think probably it would have been, even with all the healing that we've done, with all the individual work we've both done, it would have been almost exactly this time last year, because I was in Melbourne and we were walking along Canterbury Road, having a really tough conversation about body image and weight and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I was putting in some pretty big boundaries. You were also putting in we were having a very not easy conversation where I don't think we made eye contact for, how long's that road from the city to St Kilda?
Right. A bloody long way. A bloody long way.
Right? Armfuls of shopping from the markets. But that was only possible because it was really important, and it had only come after, I don't know how many years, a million. Feels like a million. But
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And it's still, even with all the healing, even having the languages, the right words to say, knowing how to not get triggered and not get emotional, we'd probably still screamed at each other a little bit. Definitely.
Definitely. And there was still as well a want or a need to, it didn't happen, but there was this sort of thing of wanting to justify or feel that I was like, for me, I can't even speak for me in that, like I got in some ways it's like, well, you got nowhere to hide because you're absolutely, what you did was abominable. But then also as well, a recognition when I look back at her, the person I was then, that she truly, honestly, from where she was in her pain, thought that she would be sparing you that, right? And it's like, no,
Yeah.
that. But that was the only perspective she had. Like I was making decisions from a really flawed place. And there's
Mm.
shame in that. Like there's still now, like having this conversation, I was like, oh, holy shit, we are sending this out.
I know. It's
Right?
petrifying.
Right? It's like, geez.
Thank gosh the live button didn't work, so we can still delete it.
Yeah, right. But there's enormous shame still. And yet, and what I do now and what I've been doing since I read your book, when the shame comes, I just sit with it and go, that's okay.
Mm.
It makes sense that I feel like that. There would be something wrong if I didn't. And it's not my shame today, because today I wouldn't make those decisions.
Yeah.
So it's okay to have the feeling.
Yeah, I think it's this weird flip side for me, because I've been able to intellectualize it for so long. So I've seen the change in you and all the work that you've put in, and I know that you were doing the best. And it wasn't, and so through all my like Western therapy and medication, so I got that. I understand why it happened. I knew it wasn't my fault. Like I get that. But it's only in the last 5 or so years, really doing heaps of the techniques that you teach and doing some of the training that you've done, understanding and like connecting back with myself at those
And
ages
your
and
body
understand.
and the
Yeah.
trauma
And
in
there was
your
still
body.
stuff. Yeah, that trauma, even though I'd intellectualized it, I dealt with it, I'd moved on, it was still in my body. And so all the time I'd want to have conversations with you being like, no, it's fine. I get it. You were doing the best that you could. Whereas my body didn't need to have that conversation. My body
No,
needed to go, I was really hurt, or
correct.
I was confused, or I was whatever.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Right? Yeah. And I was doing on the one hand, when I read your ebook, I was high-fiving and happy dancing and fucking finally, yes, your job
Although
is not to
I
protect
have found
me.
typos that you didn't find, so you didn't read it close enough.
Can we just say I was doing a skimming? I skimmed.
Yeah.
I was not delving and deep diving into your punctuation. But at the same time, I am so proud of you and gone, finally, you don't have to protect me from your truth. And I'm so proud of that. And on the other hand, I was like, oh shit. Like there is nowhere for my shame to go except come out now.
Yeah.
That's okay too.
So on that though, like, does it feel like how is the shame manifesting? Like, seeing as though it was something that was so long ago, what is the shame? Like, what is that?
What is it? Okay, so when I first read it, all of the shame that I guess it's the same way that you had intellectualized it. With all the work that I had done that, but I hadn't allowed myself to feel it. All right. So
What is
I
that you say
get it.
about chasing a feeling, avoiding a feeling?
Right. Yeah. Doing the avoiding. Just push that one away. It's not there. But clearly it is. All right. And so the gift you've given me is that I had to feel it. I
You're
had to feel it.
welcome.
And though then as well, the mind made stories start. Oh, there's going to be blowback when people hear about this. People are going to know. This is my mind. People are going to know that you've been an absolute asshole as a mother, that you have really made bad decisions, that you're not
Do you
who
want to know
you
a secret?
What?
I've been telling them for years.
Not everyone, right? And then I just had to go with, yeah, that's the truth. I was really unresourceful and made some bad decisions. I mean, I think I was 24 when I had you. I had no fucking idea. And I was too scared to ask for help because I didn't want people to see how worthless and shit house I was.
Good girl thing.
Right? Good girl thing. Yeah. Like, appalling. And then we just throw in, oh, let's have an eating disorder. We'll throw that in on top. We'll stir that into the mix. And
Extra
then
flavor.
and then an overachiever because, good girl thing and all of the outward, like, the swan on top with the feet going underneath, never really quite coping, but hey, it looks like you are. Well, I'm capable. I don't have to ask for help. Like all
Yeah.
that shit. Like, oh, I honestly don't know how she got to here.
I think about often the fact that so our birthdays are within what, 2 weeks of each other.
Hmm.
Shockingly, both Capricorns. Um, but I think it was on my 30th birthday where I was like, fuck, you had 4 kids by this point.
Mm-hmm. I'd finished breeding at 30.
Yeah.
I was a
Yeah.
baby.
But also you hadn't had so you didn't have the opportunity to put yourself first in the sense of and not like, but like you had 4 kids from when you were a baby, pretty much. So when were you going to take the time to, uh, go to therapy or a counselor, let alone discover what this whole world of inner work was that which what in, let's say, I keep trying to tell people that I'm way younger than I am. In the mid-80s, where would you have found it?
Mm.
And, and then in the 90s, you had a million sports practices or whatever, or drama or da 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 to run to. In the
And a
noughts,
business to run. Remember, we had our own business.
oh yeah, you were running a business the whole time and getting your MBA.
Mm.
And but then in the noughts, you had 4 teenagers. And I
Thank
just
you
don't,
for reminding me.
yeah, yeah. And you started doing some stuff, but like by then you were in your 50s. And it's like
40s,
there's a
40s, 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 Jess. I was in my 40s.
oh yeah. Yeah, you would have been. Math is no my strong point. But but so where my journey with healing and acknowledging this and whatever started, oh fuck, I was in therapy from when I was like 6, but my healing journey started when I was in my 20s. And it will go the rest of my life.
Mine
But
started in my 50s.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. See, I knew I was the 50s for something. But yeah, so it's almost like a real leg up with
Mm.
that kind
Mm.
of
Mm. Yeah, what a gift having a mother that was so intensely screwed you up that by your mid-20s, you had to start healing.
look, there was only 2 ways it was gonna go, and one of them was healing.
Correct, right? You chose good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So, sharing stories.
Well, we were only
Do
gonna
you
do 10
think
minutes. We've almost done half a
I know, so I'm
mm.
gonna wind this up really quickly, but do you think, like, when we talk to our coaches, do you think they need buy-in from the other people in order to authentically share?
Look, I don't think it's limited to coaches, and I don't think it's limited to publishing your story or being in business. I don't think anyone needs permission from someone else to authentically share.
Yeah.
But I think you by coming from a place, I mean, there's intent, right? So if my intention is to hurt you, then I can authentically share whatever I want. If my intention is to explain a situation to you, or like it could be as simple as why I'm not coming to Christmas,
Mm.
because this is very hypothetical. I'm not comfortable with my sister.
Mm.
So she and I aren't getting on.
You're not coming to Christmas? What?
She and I aren't getting on. I'm not coming to Christmas. And I'm explaining that to you from a place of boundaries and healing and whatever. If the reason I'm not coming to Christmas is because I know that it's better for me that I don't, that is part of my healing journey. So me explaining that to you has to come from that place. I cannot be responsible for what you say, what my sister says. I have no control over that.
Correct.
And so I think authentically sharing is, there's no rules on it. You just have to be super aware of what your intention is and why, and that you have no control over how someone reacts to it. Now, when we're talking to the people that we work with, if they're worried that, and this is something that I actually said to someone the other day, I won't name her, but I might get her to come on and have a chat with us in a couple of weeks. But she was worried about sharing something because it might upset a family member. Now, if that is stopping her being an amazing coach, is her fear stopping her transforming other people's lives? Is her fear stopping her stop the cycle? So, yeah, she can't control what that family member, how that family member reacts.
No.
But if it's going to be unreasonable and wild and crazy, she's already worst case scenarioed.
Correct.
You know,
anything less than that is a winner, right?
Right.
But also as well, I think the really important thing to understand when we share our story is to give it context by saying, this is my version of events, put through all the filters that I had, and this was my reality. And acknowledge that it may not be someone else's. And that's okay. That doesn't diminish your version of events, and it doesn't diminish theirs. I mean, no one has to be right. You know, like,
yeah. There are things from my childhood that I remember. I can see them, I can touch them, I can smell them. It is vivid. I know what happened. My siblings are like, oh, maybe, I don't know. There were a lot of notes on the fridge. You were like, I've got that never happened. Never happened. No idea. All of those things are true, depending on what information.
all the time. Like, you know, Lockie or Finn or Fran or someone will say, oh, but Mum, remember when you did? And I'm going, really? Did I? Is that what happened? Or I remember when I did this. I'm going, did you? Is that a thing?
Sure, darling, you were great.
May I point you toward the Malcolm Gladwell episode on memory? Yeah. So, well, my darling, I think we should wind this.
Yeah, thank you for a lovely chat.
Yeah, I am so proud of you. It's like I'm going, yes, get out there. You don't need to protect me.
Well, yeah, and look, the putting it down is one thing. That's fine. But I'm proud of us for being able to have these conversations.
Correct.
And yeah, like I literally don't expect. I honestly do not expect anyone to listen to this. So your shame's safe. Shame's mine. I've got so much shame in what I wrote as well. So
there you go. Look at us.
What is it from Big Mouth? The shame wizard. All right, mother. Well,
I love you. I am going to sleep because I'm up for dawn service.
I'm going to go explore the galleries in Hamburg.
Oh, have fun.
I will.
All right,
All
my
right.
darling. Chat
Love you.
soon.
Yep.
Bye.